Welcome, guys, to Self-Evident Podcast. This is number 41.
41, y'all.
41.
We are here.
Remember,
Killing it.
we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify.
Pretty much any major
All of it,
podcast.
yeah.
SoundCloud.
iTunes,
yeah.
selfevidenttruth.com.
Yeah, that one.
theselfevidenttruth.com.
A lot of cool places we've been featured, and it's only growing, guys. So please stay tuned. We got a lot of cool things coming. We're actually
Absolutely
just set up a date where we're going to be filming most of our messages actually to put on DVD, which is pretty exciting because a lot of people asked for that.
Yep. So we've got a tour coming up in September in Texas, September 8th through the 12th. We will also have dates in Colorado. Guys, if you know of groups, you're a part of groups, and you would like to see us live, make a presentation,
straight up,
give you direction on how we can change the tide of this society, please feel free to get a hold of us. Let us know. Contact us through the website.
Guys, look, I've been very, very extremely critical of the president. I've been critical since the beginning, still am. But when you look at the field of the Democrats right now, holy smokes, you know what I mean? It's straight socialism. There's nothing else we can do right now. We've got to start fighting for principle, and now's the time to do it. So we've got to start getting knowledgeable. Thank God for people like Chris Sandhall, David Barton, all these guys who are going out there and actually educating, Bill Federer, you know, those guys, but Jake McCauley. What we're doing is winning as far as educating. Now we have to be mobile because you're seeing, even right now, the Democrats can't even get along with each other no more. Republicans don't even know who they are anymore because they got this guy named Trump who's not either one, you know, which is crazy. So through Discord, God brings order. And so like we have to be educated, and that's what the tour is about. We're going to be bringing several different messages in these tours. I'm going to be speaking. So is Mike, traveling a ton. And so we got some videos coming out. Like I said, we got the new podcasts are coming out, which is exciting. Guys, there is like a ton of cool stuff happening. Like that's all I got to say.
We're coming out with a ton of content. We've got a ton of stuff in the works. And
shoot, man, we got a daily vlog almost
moving.
now. Shoot, man, we're moving. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
And our next target is we've been targeting schools, but we're going to be ramping it up 2.0 for schools, especially high schools and colleges. And this whole idea of socialism, it's going to be the front lines.
It kind of has to be because it's thrown in our face.
Yeah,
so we're not making it a frontline issue. No. They're making it a frontline issue that we're going to attack.
Exactly. So. It's becoming normal. And you had mentioned the Democrats and this whole war that's going on, and that's part of it. You've got the new line of Democrats who are very Marxist in how they view the world, and you've got the old line of Democrats who are kind of fighting this change. And you're really starting to see a schism. And one of the things in the news was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez going after Nancy Pelosi. Now, it was her AOC's chief of staff, but she represents AOC, right? And so the chief of staff said in a tweet, Democrats who are not far left are hell-bent to do to black and brown people today what the old Southern Democrats did in the 40s. You're attacking your own line. You're attacking your own group. And you've noticed AOC, Tlaib, two others.
Ilhan Omar and...
Omar, yep.
There's like a band of four. They call them the squad.
And, you know, and they've really made this move of we're going to set ourselves separate from the rest of the Democrats. And they've talked about how they're not going to be the old way. They're not going to compromise. They're not going to do things the old way. And you've got to remember, AOC is supported by the Social Democrats of America. She was really put in place as I would say, a pawn in an organization's bid to start filling congressional districts with their socialist members. And we forget that. We tend to think she was grassroots and, you know, she rose up from the ranks as a bartender. Well, no, she was actually, they chose a spot that they thought was really advantageous, and she was their pick to thrust in there because their whole agenda, their whole goal is to win these congressional districts, win the ones that are opportune, and start filling these congressional seats with socialists.
I got to be honest, man. It's not that those areas are opportune. It's those areas, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but they're ignorant of politics. They're ignorant of the Constitution.
Absolutely.
Not ignorant as people. People are smart people, man. Even ones that are not involved in politics, there are some smart people.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying everybody in her district's like that, but when it comes to the regard of the Constitution, you would have never elected her had you known the Constitution and its purpose it was written. So one of the things that quote had said from her chief of staff was this: those that aren't far left,
Precisely.
not anything to do with the Constitution. Listen to the talking points. Far left. Just say it. Those that aren't Marxists and socialists are bad people. That's what she's saying.
Yeah.
They're just like the 40s, the Democrats of the 40s, right? That's essentially what she's saying, but they won't go that far. Why is it illegal immigrant is now migrant?
Yeah.
They're changing words. Why isn't murder? It's called abortion. You know what I mean? So they're changing words, and you guys got to start catching this stuff because they're going to catch you in those words, right? It's now you're anti-abortion. No, I'm pro-life,
Anti-choice.
dude. Absolutely, anti-choice. That's crap. So
even NPR came out with statements about how to talk, especially about abortion. Don't call them pro-life because that's a positive connotation on it, right? And I don't remember the words that they said they could call them, but it was something like anti-choice or anti-abortion, but it's that game of words. It's definitely that game of words, controlling the narrative through words, which is typical.
Yeah, and not once did those. I mean, not that I saw anyways in the first debate because I didn't watch the second one that was recent. Where did they ever bring the Constitution into it?
Oh, it's so beyond the Constitution.
Dude, it's like
so beyond the Constitution.
The whole purpose of our country and how it runs is Constitution. That's what keeps us governed. I'm sorry, that's what keeps them governed.
And I want you to think about this, right? If you've left behind the Constitution, what are they doing now? I mean, they've been doing this for a while, but they're pandering to groups for votes.
Of course.
So notice almost every one of them had to throw in transgender. Somehow, some way
or
into
free
their
stuff.
point. Free stuff, transgender, immigrants.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Right? So it's not even about principle or constitution or boundaries. It's becoming pandering to certain groups in order to get their votes, which, okay, I get it. Politicians always pander to some extent. However, I don't know that the Constitution was actually referenced in an accurate way that whole debate.
Yeah, if it was referenced at all.
If it was referenced at all.
That I can think of, right? And it's like, but let's take it to the Republicans too. Same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Same thing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not singling out Democrats for the sake of singling out Democrats because I'm a Republican. That has nothing to do with it. I'm saying that the whole purpose of these, why I don't like doing current events, you know this. It's on the wrong foot. Now we're bringing up things like this. Yep. She said something about Pelosi. First off, I could give a crap what she said about Pelosi, right? I'm just saying. I'm talking about me here. I'm talking about me. You keep amplifying her voice, Fox News, Tlaib, Fox News. You keep pushing this out there. They're only growing in popularity. They know the same thing Trump knows. Bad press is better than no press.
Yep.
You're just giving them airtime. Like, what do I care about a freshman senator running her mouth? The only thing I care about is she being constitutional. If she's not, she should be impeached for not upholding the law.
And that's
where I'm at with it.
That's why I would argue that this stuff is so important, is because it gives us a feel of what's going on the ground.
Yes.
So you have her running her mouth. You and I go, I really don't care what she has to say, but at the same time, we care immensely about what she has to say because it tells us exactly how she's going to vote.
But here's the problem.
What she's going to do.
We know what she's doing is subverting the law.
Absolutely.
Right?
But we wouldn't know that unless she was running her mouth with her voting record.
True, but then what? Then what after that? That's what I'm trying to say.
Response.
But why response, dude? She should be impeached for that.
Because of the same reason the people voted for her.
Right. Okay,
right?
So here's the Republicans knowing, right, that she's straight up against the Constitution. Dude, you're an enemy of the law, right?
Yeah.
That's removal. If Trump, like, they're talking about collusion and all this other stuff, which is what? Unconstitutional, right? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, there was collusion. It was unconstitutional. President blah, blah, blah should be impeached. You don't even follow the thing. You don't even know the thing. And you shouldn't be removed? Tlaib shouldn't be removed? Ilhan Omar shouldn't be removed? You see what I mean? So, like, me just talking about these things, it frustrates me because it's like, I'm frustrated that I'm not up there to say, you should be removed, kid. Yeah, kid. You should be removed.
And I would argue that's exactly why we're talking about it.
Good point.
Is we're saying they need to be removed, right?
100%.
I hear you completely. current event, it gets so old.
It does.
Daily news cycle.
It does.
It gets frustrating old because it's just the same crap.
I'm not
and
saying
it turns into soap opera.
I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about it either. Like this is just a personal thing. You know what I mean? Like
you and I both hate the soap opera of politics.
We do, and here's why. Because even if we talk about it, if people are uneducated on the law, they won't even know what we're doing. Like they're just saying, "Yeah, I agree with him." Well, I agree with that too. You know what I mean? It's like, what does the law say? Like what does the spirit of the document say? What does the Declaration of Independence say? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm after. So if it goes anything contrary to that, then that's what we should be talking about, right?
And I think that's exactly what we're doing is they're lobbing the baseball, we're hitting it.
Hear that? We're driving it 450 feet to center field.
Going, gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's his 400th home run. So no, it's not that I don't want to talk about this stuff. I get frustrated talking about it because it's like, dude, we are like on the stupidest talking point. That you know what I mean? Now, no, go ahead. Actually, go ahead. Finish your point.
I was going to say, you notice how journalism has become who said what on Twitter?
Bingo. It's become its own soap opera.
Yeah, it's middle school gossip. It's so and so said this to so and so is really mad about so and so's stuff. Shut up,
right, dude?
Anonymous sources and Twitter. That's all journalism is.
That's exactly right, dude. It's exactly right. Where's the real issues? She calls Pelosi. Look, I don't agree with a thing Miss Pelosi stands for, but I could see that she's not racist.
Absolutely.
I've seen no evidence of that.
No.
I would never go that far. No. Dude, first off, I'll say that. To her defense, she's shown, matter of fact, she does care. She talks about it all the time. She's got people around her. Now, if she does things behind her private, or in her private life, hey, I don't see it. I don't know. Yeah. I can only judge for what I see, right? Now, do I think what she does is racist when she lobbies the racist word? Dude, it's coming back to bite you, isn't it?
Isn't that funny how now
all these racist people like Trump and all these guys, now it's coming back to bite you, right?
Yeah.
But listen to me. You who are the Cortezes of the world, all you people that are socialists, all of you people that think this way, it is becoming where you're doing a boy who cried wolf because now you're cheapening the whole racist argument.
Yeah.
So when we see real racism now, you almost have to amplify it even more, right, to make it something. That's why we have to pass a law about you can't be racist. That's already there. You know what I mean? Like, so this is what it bothers me because the real issue should be this is getting really stupid and weak.
Yeah.
To say that she's racist or people are racist because they disagree with you, right? Number two, dude, you have a freshman senator who has no idea about what economics is, no idea what capitalism is, doesn't even understand, I think, what socialism is, right? She's just flapping her gums saying it's morally our duty to take care of people.
So let government do all of it.
Exactly. No, you're right. It's our moral duty to take care of people. Yeah. Let me do it. Not a government. Nowhere in the Constitution do you see a benevolence argument to take care of people. Only to protect them.
Which they actually had arguments about that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Of what money can be given to people. So-and-so needs money. Let's give her money. No.
They passed the hat around a couple times.
Yeah.
During Congress.
We'll give out of our own pocket, which, let's ask, how often do you think that would happen in Congress today?
Truth.
Let's pass a hat around for the sisters of St. Mary. You know?
Right. Since I gave Pelosi some credit, let's give Trump a little credit. They're pissed off because he spent what, $2 million on this parade thing. Was it almost $2 million? 2.5 or whatever, right? Homeboy hadn't taken his salary.
Yeah.
Just saying. Well, he's taking vacations. Every president takes vacations. I don't care. Listen, I don't care about the amount of times Obama took vacation. I could care less about Bush. Whatever, dude. Look, I wish I had more vacation time. Crap's stressful, right?
And let me ask you this: is the president really on vacation?
He's always on call.
He's always on call. If something goes on around the world, he knows about it. 15 seconds after it happens.
Let's give a little credit where credit's due. The GDP's up. I hate. I'm not even justifying the deficit because it's running a deficit.
Yeah,
right. Way lower than the last administration. You know, you got to give him some kind of credibility here in a sense. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's proper, and I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying if you were to look at it objectively, way better than the last presidency.
Yeah.
At this point in his term, right? But you complain about things like, I wonder, Democrats and you who are socialists and whatever who are watching this, because I'm sure there are people out there, you're just now arguing for argument's sake. You're not even arguing to prove a point. You're just now arguing because you want to argue. Because he could literally say, and he did, like he was talking about like he wants to be for the gays and all these other things. Dude, there's gay caucuses inside the Republican Party right now.
Log cabin Republicans.
Yeah, but still, he's a homophobe. Still.
And you and I were talking about this in the car. It really has become, if he came out tomorrow and said that he is a hard-charging liberal Democrat, you would have Democrats going, well,
we're Republicans now.
We're Republicans now.
Yeah.
How dare he be a Democrat? We can't believe
it's like they just want to argue to argue.
Yeah. And we did see it, and I will fully admit this and say this. We did see it on the conservative side. We saw people who, they cheapened their argument against Obama because every time Obama did anything, how dare he do that? He could say hi to somebody. We're not saying hi to that person. How dare he say hi to that person? Now, did he do a lot of stuff wrong? Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no justifying. I'm just saying, like, they're both playing the game.
Yeah. But
that's what we're saying here is the game.
Stop playing the game of tribalism in the sense of every time somebody does something, come out against it purely because they're on the other team.
Why can't you get behind a dude when and the rest of Congress, like Congress coming out, support the guy, dude. Like, hey, we're keeping jobs. The unemployment's down. Black unemployment's down right now. Why can't you just support that? Like, shake a hand, dude. The economy's doing better. Okay. Look, because we're gonna get weirdos. The deficit. I know, dude. I know. We're in a deficit. It's not good. I get all of that stuff. But where we were from where we were 4 years ago, hey, we're at least moving the needle a little bit, right? Give some credit. Hey, man, I don't agree with President Trump, but I'm going to give him credit where credit's due, right? I mean, crap. Let's be honest here. On the Republican side, if Trump doesn't run, who's gonna run and win, right? I mean, you got to start thinking that way. Now, I would rather see a third party. I would rather see an independent. I'd rather see someone who's more libertarian in thought, right? So that I can be just me and a Christian and just go do what I do. That's just not happening right now. There's nothing viable right now that I see. So we're playing the game on both sides, and it's all soap opera stuff. And I feel like I feel gross talking about this. Actually,
it's seeped into everything. Which
totally
I know.
true.
I talked about that a couple of podcasts ago when I did the news. It's seeped into everything. It's seeped into our entertainment. It's seeped into our sports. ESPN. Their ratings crashed because they got so political. They even came out with a statement and said, we're not going to be political anymore. Well, you should have done that a long time ago because people don't want politics in their sports. They've proven that. The whole U.S. women's soccer team, they're proving
Which we should
that.
talk about that, too.
Let's talk about it.
Because I want to kind of finish this point.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing more and more of a discord inside the Democrat Party because eventually you're just going to be so, like, Miss Pelosi, this is like a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Anybody who's the old guard of the Democrat Party.
And I hope they come out charging against this because
but
the new segment is dangerous.
Right. Yes. I was going to go there.
Oh.
No, it's all good. Let this be a shining light to you, Miss Pelosi. Out of respect, Mr. Schumer, all you guys who are on the Democrat, the old guard, this is what you asked for.
Yeah.
Welcome to it.
You walked this line.
This is what you wanted.
You wanted to get on this train.
Yep.
You used these type of arguments because they were opportune at the moment. Now you see the danger of these arguments that you tried to put forward. I understand. It's politics. To you, it's all about objective and angle. But at this point, it's real now for you.
That's right. And the only check you had was the law that you didn't want to follow in the first place.
Precisely.
The only check against them is the thing that you were disobeying.
And if you follow it...
Not a threat, it's just the truth.
It's the truth. And if you follow it and you get back to what the Constitution is supposed to represent, what it's supposed to be, you will defend against this.
That's right.
You will create a bulwark. But if you allow this to continue, it's going to eat up your party.
Right.
I'm telling you right now.
Right.
It will eat up your party and tear it apart.
It already has. I mean, let's be honest here. That Democratic debate was not democratic at all. It was straight up Marxist.
It was
straight up socialism, dude. There was no Democrat in that. It was a radical agenda way on the left, right? Now, I feel the same way about the right. That's why I like talking about this, because it's like this, they just keep moving the needle to the left.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, again, this is like, I get frustrated. You who are on they're silent about it. They are. The only ones that are principled are like the Massies and the Amashes. I mean, let's give them a little credit, right? They're at least public about something that they believe in. But that's about it. The rest of them are just going along to get along, man.
Cruz.
Yeah, and you know what? God bless that guy, because at least he's, how do I say this? He's not as strong as I want him to be, but he's strong in his points. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not as bold as I think he should be, but he's strong in his points, and I like that about him.
And I think he complements the ones that are stronger on their points.
He learned how to soften the blow.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's the guy in the room that the Republicans, conservatives need to have, because he's the one who can speak a little more of the Democrats' language to where he can get something done with them. You know what I mean? He can connect.
Yeah.
And without sacrificing his principle.
Morality.
Right. There was something, and I don't remember what it was, but he started to work with AOC's team on something. Lobbying. Basically outlawing politicians being able to become lobbyists after they're done.
Look at that. You
with
can
their
agree
career.
on something.
Exactly. And I applaud him for it. I say, look, I think everybody can agree. Let's
Money's
get politicians out of lobbying. Money is in politics.
I mean, dude, let's go on a limb here. She just said that the DHS should be abolished. I'm like, you're right. I don't like your point.
Hold on.
Yeah, I know.
Massey just said abolish the DHS.
The Department of Homeland Security.
We are now calling ourselves the Young Socialist Self-Evident of America.
And I know some of you guys will get upset, and we can get into that. And the reason is because the Department of Homeland Security, all it's done is restrain the American people, not outside invaders. It's really destroyed us. You know what I mean? So, I mean, do I agree with her? Yeah. I mean, it's like we have police already. We've got, ICE and all these other. We already had all that.
Yeah.
All that did was put more restraint on the American people. Well, it's prevented. Show me. What's it prevented? You know what I mean? So I agree with her in that sense, but I know why she's saying it. She's saying it to get more votes and to get more illegals across. That's not why I'm for removing it. Because I trust the American people that I love my neighbors myself, man. You know what? If someone's going to do something stupid, so is life. A bunch of stupid people out there. You know?
I think if you start to give people the responsibility, they'll start stepping up. So remember the San Bernardino shooters? The couple in California. The couple in California, they killed 14 people or something. The months leading up to that, there were a lot of people going in and out of their house. There were a lot of packages being sent and all that. And the neighbors even said, we thought something was weird, but we didn't want to be called racist. We didn't want to be wrong. We didn't want to stir the pot. And I can kind of understand where they're coming from at this point. We've so given the responsibility over to the government and allowed people to tell us, you're racist if you make a judgment about anybody or about anything that seems out of ordinary. I'm not saying that's right.
Right.
But if we get rid of an organization like the DHS, we get rid of these organizations that are making us soft and spoiled, we might start standing up and might start actually...
Thank you.
Now, here's where the argument comes.
And there's the two sides to this. I'm just telling you, I agree with her.
Yeah.
In that regard, but not for the reasons that she wants it done.
And then somebody might make the argument, look, that'll make people more racist, so more defensive about their communities, all of that.
For.
Like,
you know what I mean? Yeah, like, what are you talking about? You got cops. Nobody's saying to get rid of the cops.
No. And
I'm sorry, police forces, which I deeply respect.
I think responsibility is something we're lacking.
Totally.
And it's because we're coddled.
Totally.
In a sense of government does everything for us, so we don't have to do anything.
Truth.
You don't have to make your own
Truth.
money. You don't have to get your own food. You don't have to get your own housing. You don't have
Yeah.
to go out. You don't have to do this. You don't have to
I
do
think
that.
That's probably why church people, keep asking about what's my calling. What's my calling? It's like,
Yeah.
well, everything's done for you.
yeah.
Anything
good
moral?
point.
It's like, well, if we didn't have all that stuff, I can promise you, everybody in this church will be busy.
Yeah.
Lot to do here, man. Tons to do.
Because we walk into a church and we expect them to have a kids
Exactly.
program. We expect them to have a job outreach. We expect them to have a homeless outreach. We
Truth.
expect all this stuff. So then when we look at the church and they don't have it,
Right.
we go, oh, well, that church doesn't have that, so I'm not going there. Or, well, we don't have it, so I can't do anything. That means you're the one who's supposed to start it. If you got a calling for that and it's not there, time to go start
And
it.
they're like, how is that my calling? Well, you're bringing it up.
Yeah, it's on your heart.
You thought about it. We didn't. You
Here
know what I
we
mean?
go.
Like, and it's like, that doesn't make me a bad person. I just know what I'm called to do. You
Yeah.
know, there's a lot of things we could do in church, but I'm not bringing it up because it's like, Lord, who could fulfill that position? Anyways, this is ongoing because, dude, especially too, when you have Representative Clay from, I think it was Missouri, was on Fox News, and he was like, they're just immature and they're young. No, they're dangerous.
As far as the
AOC thing,
group of four,
yeah,
really, I didn't know about that.
He's like, they're immature, they're young, they need to, they need to figure this out. This is how you lose basically position. He didn't say this, but I read it in one of the articles. That's how you lose your position when you don't know how to like see the bigger picture and blah blah blah. It's like, oh, so you guys have to compromise. See what I mean? Like,
wow,
this is crazy, dude. Like, this is crazy stuff. Like, everybody wants to compromise to get. So you're seeing too. The Democrats even compromise just as much as the Republicans. So you got a bunch of compromising people who have no backbone to stand on.
Yeah.
And we're somehow scared of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Start towing the line back to you instead of allowing everybody to tug and pull and then give up and give in. And, it's that whole give an inch, they'll take a mile.
100%. And they keep doing it.
Yeah.
And they haven't stopped doing it.
Yeah.
They haven't stopped doing it.
And to go along with that, we had something in California that happened recently, and this is Bill ACR 99. And we've got the text of it. And, Massey, I think it's best if you and I kind of pass back and forth what this thing says. So this thing came out, and it's talking about gay conversion therapy. Now, whether or not you agree with it, that's beside the point. Whether or not you agree it's effective, that's beside the point. What this is saying is this is basically a resolution condemning the practice and calling on all types of different groups, including religious leaders, to condemn it. So the stigma associated with being LGBTQ is often created by groups in society, including therapists and religious groups. And this has caused disproportionately high rates of suicide, attempted suicide, depression, rejection, and isolation amongst LGBTQ questioning individuals. So what they've just said is these therapists and religious groups are causing disproportionately high rates of suicide and depression. They've just drawn the link. If you say it's wrong, you're causing suicides. That's dangerous to say.
Well, it's super dangerous because you have no proof of that. There are high suicide rates on these issues, transgender, gay, whatever, right? But could it be because they're confused? Could it be it's because they don't know who they are? My acceptance of them should have no bearing. Man, y'all are the ones screaming the loudest, be who you are, be who you are, be who you are. Well, then what does my opinion matter to you? Think about it. That's nothing to do with it. You don't know who you are. To be honest with you, you're going against God's design and you know it in your heart.
Which,
right?
if we were to say that it's true, that you're going against God's design, and there's a incoherence, a tension going on, wouldn't that cause depression?
Absolutely.
Anger, frustration, confusion?
Absolutely.
If we're going to say, let's just wild here, God created us and designed us for a purpose, designed us with certain boundaries and lines to follow. If we go against that, we're not going to have peace. If God is a God of peace, a God of joy, a God of contentment, God of fulfillment, to go against that are the opposite of those things.
That's exactly right.
Right? But we can't accept that. We can't say that's true because then we're affirming God.
Exactly. The other thing too is to say that look, man, I'll be the first to say it. What they do with their life behind closed doors and whatever.
Absolutely.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Have
It's
at
up
it.
to
You're
you.
human, right? That is civil rights.
Yeah.
But you forcing a government to acknowledge your civil rights because now it's punishable by law to restrain me. I find it funny, and in a lot of this, basically what they're saying is we want people who, and it says this, and they scratched out with conviction. Notice how they scratched out here with conviction? Did it twice here. It says this, the measure would call upon Californians to embrace the individual and social benefits of family and community acceptance upon religious leaders. They scratched this next line out. Upon religious leaders with conviction. They scratched that out. Now it says upon religious leaders to counsel LGBTQ matters from a place of love, compassion, knowledge, and of psychological and other harms of conversion therapy, right? Think about this. Think about this for a second. So you want me to understand them, but not once in there are you saying, hey, LGBTQ, why don't you go understand why they have an objection against your lifestyle?
Wow.
Not once. I'm just supposed to submit and bow down, and the spineless who don't stand will submit to this law. That's the bottom line, right? But they did it twice, even down here. Watch this. Resolved that the legislator calls upon religious leaders, they scratched out, with conviction to counsel LGBTQ on matters of place and love, compassion, knowledge, and psychological and other harms of conversion therapy. Now, it's funny. Therapy is now considered harmful.
Precisely. They've determined that this is harmful. They've made a judgment. So
what about the people who have gone through conversion therapy and it's succeeded?
But they don't exist.
Oh, they do, right?
Exactly.
Or all those people that have been healed by the Spirit of God who changed their lifestyle because they're made new creatures in Christ.
And those people, they've actually come out against those people. They've condemned those people. They've tried to shut them down. They've shut down their voices. So, because you're not touting the line of be who you are and accept who you are, and they're touting the line of you can improve who you are, we got to shut them down. They can't be here, right? I want to add to that. So further down, it says, we call on the people of California, especially its counselors, pastors, religious workers, educators, and legislatures, and the institutions of California with great moral influence, especially its churches, universities, colleges, and other schools, counseling centers, activist groups, and religious centers. Notice how many times they're bringing up faith. Bringing up faith all the time.
Because it's those who have the conviction against this lifestyle.
Precisely. To model equitable treatment of all people of the state.
Who's killing them? Who's not treating them with respect?
That's the line that they're drawing. That's the connection they're drawing.
Can I say this loudly?
Right?
Who's killing them? Who's stopping them from living? If I have an opinion against them and say, bro, this isn't right, that's not stopping them from living. Like, if I shot someone because they're gay, of course. But I shouldn't be thrown in jail because I shot them because they were gay. It's because I shot them and I killed them. See what I mean? Like, this whole thing with hate crimes and all that stuff. It's a crime. Hate is... Okay, listen. All crime is hate. All crime is hate.
Yeah.
Right? Here. So you're going to remove my freedom of speech and condemn me because of what I say about you, but you somehow have the moral authority over me. This is what happens when you forget God in this whole mess. Now, here, let's try this. Conversion therapy is bad, right? We shouldn't do conversion therapy because it's bad and it discriminates against them. But you'll allow in LA thousands and thousands of people on the streets, right? Now that what did they just say? Was it the what was the plague that went through there? Traces of the what? It wasn't bubonic, was it?
They're afraid bubonic's going to show up.
Right.
There was another one, typhoid.
Typhus. Typhus came through that city, right? And because there's religious leaders out there saying, oh, crap, we shouldn't live like this, you're not condemning them? Isn't it harmful to a person who wants to live homeless for us to say you shouldn't be homeless? Doesn't it warp their minds? Isn't it bad to not accept who they are? They're not hurting anybody.
That made me think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The whole
warp the mind thing. Yeah. But think about that, right? It's they're not hurting anybody by being homeless. But look what's happening as a result. Dude, listen. People are like, oh man, because of the gay people, AIDS, and okay, look, I don't know. Sin is sin, and it's been happening for years. We have a ton of diseases and all these things, right? I get all that stuff. But Nobody is stopping a gay person from living. That's what you should be prosecuting me for. If I stop them from living because I kill them, that's what you should prosecute. Not because I have an opinion against who they are. That's freedom, dude.
And it's a one-way determination. So if you're straight or you've been living a straight life and you suddenly come out as homosexual, that's celebrated, that's promoted, that's moved forward. But if you've been living a homosexual lifestyle and you want to move into the straight lifestyle, that door is shut.
Yeah, that's harmful.
That's condemned. That's considered harmful. You see this one
crazy,
way.
dude.
As far as the moral thing, the one thing that I wanted to point out on this is they've said, you great moral influencers of our society.
Oh, that's right, down here in the bottom.
We want you to put forth and promote our moral message. So what it's saying is you're the speaker box. You've had this influence on the people. Now you're going to spread our message, which a government is saying spread our moral message.
That's exactly what they're saying. Where in the Constitution do you have the moral authority to have a moral argument on anything moral?
A government's not supposed to
They
have
don't carry morality.
moral arguments.
A government is not a thing. It's the people, right? Think about this. If you remove it from the Lord, now man has become your leader. In this whole, it says this is the last line actually, or the second to the last line, that in addressing the stigma often associated with persons who identify as LGBTQ, we call on the people of California, especially its counselors, pastors, religious workers, educators, legislators, and institutions of California with great moral influence, especially its churches. Said it twice. Universities, colleges, and other schools, counseling centers, activist groups, and religious centers to model equitable treatment of all people in the state, and be it further that the chief clerk of the assembly transmit the copies of the resolution to the author for appropriate distribution.
So let's distribute this.
Yeah, let's distribute this. You who are moral in churches, quit being a church. Be a state center. Yeah. Here, try this. You don't want to give religious groups money because you say it's against the state, but now you're telling them what to preach? Right? Isn't that funny? You don't touch me. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting its free exercise, which is still the First Amendment. You can't change that, right?
And no state can come against the Bill of Rights.
I find it funny. These are the ones that have been preaching separation of church and state for stinking years. Now you're trying to get involved in churches and what they do. Separation of church and state, boy, get out my business. And yes, I am saying it this way. Here's why. Because what you're doing now is making people, a pastor told me this once, eventually what's going to happen is people are going to get so angry, they're not going to be able to tolerate this anymore. Yeah. Right? What else is supposed to take over? Dude, you don't have the authority to tell me what I can and cannot say. Nobody gave you that authority as the state. You don't have the authority to do this. Is unconstitutional, right? Let alone immoral, let alone demonic. You don't have the authority over it. Here, you're a representative legislature. You're not rulers. You're not kings. I can't tell an LGBTQ to go hang himself. I get that, but that's not what I'm doing. Nor do you have the right to tell me I can't preach. That's essentially what you're saying.
And you're trying to get in the way of the freedom of association. So if a person comes to a therapist and says, I don't like what's going on within me, help me with this.
Yep.
California is now trying to tell them, you can't have that. Once you're there, you're stuck. Once again, the door only swings one way on this whole thing.
That's exactly right.
Which is extremely scary. Now, this is one of those steps that we talk about in terms of where is this heading? I get tired of saying the word socialism because it's been blasted all over the place and it gets weak the more it gets used. People, whatever. But the problem is we've got to understand these steps are being taken to where your rights are being infringed on, your rights are being erased as the government grows in these powers.
Can you?
If this goes greater, if this continues and this gets stronger, you really think it's going to stop at gay
Dude,
conversion?
this would be a good spot to do that whole gulag thing you did Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I think. Talk about that, would you?
All right.
Here's why. Because it's really where, and keep it rolling, because like it's the truth. I think where we're seeing this, where now a state is telling you morally how to live.
Yeah.
Who's stopping them from literally now to confiscate? Now, if they can tell you what to say and what to think and what to do and telling your church you can't, let's say a church doesn't do that. What's next? There's nothing here about prosecution. So where's what happens if I don't follow this? What am I prosecuted by?
And that's what comes next.
That's scary because there's nothing definitive. So now, right? Just like Child Protective Services, there's really no way to punish people. They can just come in because there's a bug up their butts, take your kids, right? So let's keep going on this one. They see what happens. They create these laws, and yes, I'm getting excited because this bothers me. They create these laws, and there's no like, hey, and if you break this, here's this and this and this. Nothing. So now what? What am I supposed to follow in its place? Right? Now, here, I'll say this. Ladies and gentlemen of America, churches, synagogues, you who love America, you who celebrate its 4th of July and independence, you who understand that freedom exists here, this crappy nation that all the Democrats say is such crappiness that they want all the illegals to pour into because it's so crappy, right? You who stand for this nation in some shape or form, this is what happens when you don't stand.
Absolutely.
This is what happens when we don't stand against ungodliness. Matter of fact, here, let me say it, take it a step further. It's what happens when you don't get involved.
Yep.
And you don't know what you're talking about and you don't get educated. This is exactly what happens.
And it's so important to get involved in the local stuff.
Oh my gosh.
It's the city councils, the mayors, the governors that's where people start. Look at Pete Buttigieg, right? However you say his name. He started as mayor of South Bend. Now he's running for president. Okay, these people start most of the time in small elections, small places. This is where you cut the crap out. You get to your city councilman, you get to your mayor, you determine how your city is going to run.
Yep.
That helps influence the county, it helps influence the state, then helps influence the nation.
This is where the cities have to start making their own charters if they're against this.
Yeah.
This is unconstitutional, even to our own state constitution. This is unconstitutional.
Absolutely.
This is in violation of civil rights. They have a right to live. They're cool. That's all that's guaranteed to you by a government. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, / property. That's it. Life, liberty. Nobody's stopping your liberty by saying, hey, man, you should probably get some, you know what I mean? Dude, nobody's stopping anybody's liberty. Look, you who are adulterers and adulteresses, I'll say the same to you. You ain't hurt nobody except the people that you're screwing around on, right?
And yourself.
But you ain't hurt nobody.
No.
I don't care what you do. But man, if I know you and I see you and I care about you, I'm going to tell you the truth. Crap's wrong before God. Straight up. I don't have a problem saying that. Same thing with other sexual sin. Same thing. It's the same mess. Notice if we were hammering adultery, nobody would have a clue. Nobody would have a stink about anything. The moment, here, why wasn't this law created to stand against those who try to help those?
Adultery.
Exactly.
AshleyMadison.com, the website for adulterers. Why don't we come out against that? Why don't we have a resolution against cheating on your wife?
This is scary because, again, and Mark Petzold said this to me. He's from Michigan. He said, Massey, Saul Alinsky, the issue is not the issue. It's the revolution.
Absolutely.
You can think that's conspiracy, dude. What's been happening for the last 10 years? It's not the issue. It's the revolution.
And I want to make a comparison. So you had brought up the whole Gulag thing.
Yep, go ahead.
In terms of Soviet
He
Russia.
preached this on Tuesday, and it was so dope. Like how you brought it up with the Gulag and the socialism and how the internment camps and all that stuff. Go ahead.
And I want to start this, so I'll just do a small section of this discussion. But we talked about how this was very broad. This draws broad strokes. There's no discussion of punishment in here yet. I want to read Article 58, Section 10 of the Soviet Code. Propaganda or agitation containing an appeal for the overthrow, subverting, or weakening of the Soviet power, and equally the dissemination or preparation or possession of literary materials or similar content. So what this is talking about is, if in any way we determine you are trying to go against the Soviet power, you can be arrested.
Crazy, isn't it?
Crazy.
Who's that lady, the black lady that was talking about anybody who speaks against Congress should be punished for it? What was her name?
That wasn't Waters, was it?
No, it was another lady.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I wish I knew her name because I don't want to refer to people as black or white, but I wish I knew her name. And it's funny that you're coming against Trump, though, right? And that's not
yeah,
that shouldn't be punishable.
absolutely. That's
right?
okay because that's revolutionary.
Right, dude. But keep going with your point.
That's important.
It's revolutionary. Yay.
Which
Not very cavalier, but
what you're watching is you're watching these seeds of revolution. What they're saying is this whole system doesn't work. We need a new system. The problem is when you destroy the system, you have to build something new in its place. When we look at what happened with the Soviet Union, their whole argument against the Tsar, the guy in charge, basically the king or the ruler, was that he was oppressive, that he was controlling, that he was political prisoners and all of this. At the height, there was something like 7 political prisoners in jail during the Tsarist reign. So you have the revolution. They've caused this upheaval against the system and say the system is so bad and oppressive, we need something new. Hey, we've got it. Here's socialism. Here's Marxism, communism. Let's put this in its place where everybody's truly equal. All the workers get the fruits of their labor instead of it going to evil capitalists, which that's what we hear all the time now is about capitalism. So they overthrow. They build up their new structure of government. The problem is the state is considered the one in charge. The state is the one who determines how the society runs. You've got a difference between individuals and community or collective. The individual is not important anymore. The individual doesn't matter. It's the community, the collective that matters. They're the ones who are important. So if you got to get rid of an individual to protect the collective, so be it. If you have an individual who's speaking out against something, the collective is more important than the individual.
right.
Those that are determining what's important for the collective are the ones in charge, the ones in power. What are we seeing now?
Exactly.
What's important for the collective? Now, then it was class warfare, rich versus poor, which we still see that. We see that a lot. But we're also now seeing the identity politics. Think about this. What was the great national sin of the U.S., of America? What do we consider the number one sin? Right? Slavery. Don't tell me Marxists, communists don't see that. Right? Now people say, oh, this is not Marxism. You're lying, blah, blah, blah. No. You have to create a revolution.
Mm-hmm.
You find how to divide and conquer. Saul Alinsky knew this. Saul Alinsky put this in black and white. And don't tell me you don't like Saul Alinsky. So you use race and you divide the nation up by race. You start poking at it. You poke at the wound and you say, look how racist you are. Look how racist. Identity politics. Now we're going to start pandering to each different identity. We're going to create small collectives. So once you get that in place and you get this moving, you get this train rolling, let's look at Soviet Union, what happened there. You've got to punish people. And it got to the point where it wasn't even punishment, it was quotas. And it was a machine that fed itself. So they build work camps, which if you're a communist country, you don't have capitalism driving creation.
Right.
If I put a gun to your head and say, you guys screw in these bolts on these cars 12 hours a day, every day, how hard do you really try? Right?
Yeah.
You try just enough not to get shot.
That's right. There's no incentive.
No incentive. So show me one car built during the Cold War in Russia that's still running great. No, it's all crap. That's the problem is there's no innovation. Now, you build work camps. But the thing is, the work camps get to a point where it's not even about the work. It's about seeing how much work you can get out of somebody before they die.
Truth. Yep.
And these work camps, millions were being sent. Millions.
Truth.
And it got to the point where people were being pulled out of their apartment and nobody said anything. And when I did this talk, I connected it to masculinity. Masculine people, men, stand up for the defenseless. We defend those who need defending. They were there watching women getting arrested in the middle of the street and getting disappeared. And guaranteed they knew neighbors and relatives who got disappeared as well. Pulled out of nowhere for nothing, and then suddenly have a 25-year sentence for no reason. And what they would do is they would use this Article 58, Code 10, to come up with charges against people and then throw 25 years on them. Sign this paper. Oh, by the way, we're going to torture you until you actually sign the paper for the crimes that you never committed, right? And this Article 58 was a wash. It was basically like, oh, you said hi to the baker down the street. Well, we already arrested the baker for being against the Soviet power, and he signed the paper. So therefore, because you said hi to him, you're not an enemy of the state. You're an enemy of the state. You're off to the gulags. These camps, we don't have full numbers, but these camps killed anywhere from 40 to 60 million people. Train cars filled with people.
Sounds familiar.
You might have a train car with 400 people slammed into that thing. 3 months without much food or water or anywhere to go to the bathroom. Barely able to sit down. Times where they would leave these train cars sitting in the middle of a field for weeks on end. People who weren't even human beings to the state anymore. And you want to tell me the state's going to care about them? No, it doesn't work that way.
Especially for those in power.
The farther you get, the less a person matters.
That's exactly right. I think it's like you're very passionate, and I want it to remain there because there's a lot of points to finish. What's crazy is what makes you think the government won't eventually turn against you?
You're already scared of it, right? The Nazis in power. The conservatives are going to turn it into the Handmaid's Tale. You're already scared of it.
Truth. So what makes you think that by siding with a government who's got all the answers, that they're not going to turn against you one day?
That's kind of like the nobody should have guns except the cops that are killing all of the people.
That you complain about that they're just racist and they're killing people at will, right?
They're the only ones you want to have guns?
Right, exactly. So it's the same thing when that lady at Starbucks who complained about the cops, right? It's like, boy, I hope you never, next time you get into an accident, the cops shouldn't be there because they scare you, right?
Yeah.
Or, God forbid, something happens to your family. I don't wish that on my enemy, man.
Absolutely not.
Who's going to be there to help the cops? Dude, are they all good? No, man. This is human nature. But you can't make law about it. You can't make law about how people think. That's what makes America America. It's crazy like that, right? Dude, even I look at the diversity just of business, right? And how like Gary V and all these guys are like, you got to adopt with the times, right? Like Amazon's killing it right now. Walmart basically has its own Amazon, its own website, like an Amazon in a sense. Yep. You're seeing things happen. You're not going to see a lot of these places. Dude, he said basically that 7-Eleven, it's already out of business. You can get everything online now.
Yeah.
Right? They're just there temporarily. Eventually, it's just going to come to your door, you know, where you don't even need to go to a 7-Eleven, right? Man's genius is amazing. How do I say this? Diversity of thought brings us to that point, right? Diversity of thought. What's next, man? Getting mad at Amazon because, you know what I mean? Like, there's someone who can't afford their stuff. You're going to force them to give someone stuff because they can't afford it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between you stealing from me in tax money and not stealing from Amazon? Just forcing Amazon to give people stuff because they can't. Wait a minute. We need to give free people, or we need to get stuff to free stuff to people, right? By taking money. Well, what if I'm hurting for money? Will you let me not pay my taxes for a year? Oh, heck no. Right?
Yeah.
Stupid.
And the dirty issue of diversity is that not all people end up equal.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that in the idea. I completely affirm and agree with the founders' idea of equity, or equality between people.
All men are what?
All men are created equal.
Including women.
Exactly.
I heard this Indian guy say, they didn't mention women. because man was in the top tens.
Yeah. They wrote one sentence. They should have written 4 books. Like, people are.
It's not how they thought back then.
Exactly. Like, and the word men included. It was the word
the
used
race of
for
people,
for
human
people,
race, yeah.
human beings. With diversity, the dirty problem that they try to wash away in some respects is that people don't end up equal. So if you take all of the money in the world and you put it all in a pot and you hand it all out equally to every human being, within 10 years, you will have billionaires and you'll have those completely impoverished. It always works out that way because people have different skills, different strengths, different weaknesses. So we've got to accept there's a diversity among human beings. I'm not just talking about race. I'm talking about intellect. I'm talking about gifts, skills, whatever.
Totally.
Sorry. The cold, hard truth is things are going to unbalance in a way.
And I think, too, dude, like, who's going to support a racist? Right? And even if you have a small sect, that business won't last forever.
Precisely.
You know what I mean?
I use that argument with a buddy.
So stupid.
I said, look, go ahead. Have your business that says no blacks allowed. I'll open up a shop next to you and say, we love black people.
Yeah.
I'll get all the black business and the people who don't like the fact that you're discriminating against black people. I don't need a law to try and shut you down. I'll shut you down through market forces, man.
Dude, what changed the bus system, man, in Montgomery, Alabama?
People.
The fact that the blacks, they weren't going on the buses, man.
Suddenly money wasn't coming in.
Oh, hey, we love you guys. Sorry about that. What were we thinking? We didn't really mean that. Of course you did. But listen, hatred never prevails in the heart of man. It just doesn't work like that. What makes you think that the people that you're trusting in have more morality than you?
Yeah.
Think about this. Are they more moral than you?
There you go.
Bro, they can't even keep their own districts in check. Now they're trying to tell us how to run a border, how to make sure that we don't talk to gay people, but you can't even fix the homeless system in your area. Now California passed free healthcare for illegals. When you have people in Los Angeles that can't even live, right? You're forcing Americans to buy health insurance to give it to people who are coming here illegally. What are you telling the American here? What are you telling the next generation of Californians? What are you telling them? Seriously, everything America stands for is exactly what the Democrats are undermining. Oh, Christian nation? Nope, let's condemn Christianity, right? That's in essence. Yeah. Notice when it says religious in churches, where's synagogues? Ooh. Where's what do they call
Mosques.
Mosques. You don't see it in there. Churches. Jews stand for the same thing we do.
Yeah.
You don't think the Islam? They want to kill gay people, man.
Walk into a mosque and talk about how they need to affirm and promote homosexuality.
Dude,
see how far it goes.
Seriously.
See how far it goes.
This here discriminates against Christianity, the very thing that the First Amendment stands for, right? Let's take this further. What are you telling people? So Christianity was in the beginning of the nation, kill it. Our flag stands for liberty and freedom, condemn it, right? White people who literally came from England. That's who first came with blacks. There was some bad stuff that happened. They shouldn't have had slavery. We totally understand. Let's condemn the whites. Everything America started, they're condemning left and right. Mm-hmm. Capitalism, free markets, free people, freedom. We're condemning freedom now because we want to tell you how to. What makes you think that they're out for your own good?
And yes, thank you. And that they'll stop.
They ain't going to stop.
Suddenly the line will be drawn and they'll go, okay, we're good. Utopia. No. There will always be a revolution. Cuba's been having a freaking revolution for what, 70 years
70 years?
Now? The revolution doesn't stop. They just keep celebrating it. They go, oh, the revolution continues. Guess who they tend to blame? The U.S., right? Now, foreign relations, whatever. But they have their scapegoat. Look at Venezuela. Guess who's in the news every week? It's America. It's the capitalists. It's the free market people. They're the ones that are doing this to you. The revolution never ends. There's always new people to shoot. There's always new people to send off to a camp.
Dude.
And guess what? The ones who start it are the ones who get killed first. because they're the ones who started the revolution. They're the ones who got the wheels rolling. Then the people get into power. Once you're in power, you don't want loose ends. You want somebody who's strong and knows how to run a revolution. No, you consolidate your power.
That's exactly right.
So you end them. You get rid of them. I want to talk about the kulaks, Ukraine. Okay, so this was the farming community in Ukraine. You had farmers who were good at what they did. They earned money. They grew land, gained land. They grew good crops. They made the big share. They fed the people through interaction, through capitalism. Then you have groups of people coming in, communists, saying, they've got more money than you do. Mm-hmm. They stole that money from you. You deserve it back. They would get mobs built up to arrest these people, to take them out of their homes, to steal their land, steal their money, steal their possessions, get rid of them, start shipping them off to the gulags. You ended up with a famine that killed 6 million people because of jealousy. Why? Because all the people who couldn't farm were the ones who were left over.
Yeah, isn't it crazy too? We don't listen to God's 10, which is thou shalt not covet at the end.
Because it might warp your mind.
I mean, think about this. Just think about this, man. You don't want a morality that works for everybody. So you create your own morality. Right? So, like, what is wrong with telling someone, don't covet someone else's thing? It creates jealousy, envy, greed, lust, which the Bible condemns. Don't lie. No, matter of fact, it's not don't. Thou shalt not lie. Don't murder. Don't hate someone in your heart. Commit murder. Don't commit adultery. Don't look at a woman to lust or a man to lust after in your heart, because it breeds contempt of thought. And a carnal mind is enmity against God, the Bible says in Romans 8, right? All these things, they work for everybody. It's common sense. And even if you don't believe in it, you know what I just said was right. I don't want people to be raped in the streets. I don't want people to hate each other.
I don't want people to steal things from each other.
I don't want you to be jealous. I don't want you... What's wrong with all that, dude? And then now we need this. So because we don't have morality in our hearts, we have to create this to create morality in people's hearts.
Which when we try to create it, it'll always go wrong.
100%.
Our morality, when we try to make morality and determine what it is, it will always go wrong.
I've got this feeling with California, because there's a lot of good people in California. But if it continues to do what it does, you'll see it fall off. It'll go bankrupt.
It will.
It just has to.
They're already a complete mess.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it has to go bankrupt. Just let them do it. And you know what's so funny? The Pelosi's, the Bidens, the Schumers, combined, they've been in Congress for over 100 years, and they're blaming all of America's problems on one dude.
Yeah.
Or a flag. Or institutional racism. You've been in Congress longer than anybody. What did you do to stop it? If this was such a big issue. Racism was so underlined this whole time that we didn't see it. I've done all right in my life, haven't I, babe? I've done pretty darn good. I work my butt off. I have 2 ministries. We've done all right. Mike, you've done okay, even though you're straight white. You work with a bunch.
That's exactly why I've done okay.
Yeah, exactly. You work with a bunch of Hispanics that make just as much as you do. That's why. More. Yeah, if not more, right? I don't like. Does it exist? Yes, dude. Shoot, man. I'm gonna dare to venture to say this, man. I can't tell you how many times. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I wouldn't think evil sometimes, Lord. And what I mean by evil, not like go kill someone. Just, Lord, I want to love those people more. Yeah. Why don't I love those people more? Why don't I go talk to those people more? I'm always striving for more to love people, right? To me, that's wickedness when I know to do good and I don't do it, right? The Bible says to him it is sin, right? I want to do more for the kingdom of the Lord. And yet, you're telling me that if I go love the LGBTQ community, which I don't even know why they're called that, they're people who are in sin. You want to tell me that if I go and speak to them with love and compassion and knowledge of Scripture, which is love, I don't hate them, right? Dude, matter of fact, some of the coolest people I know they're gay. Got 2 cousins that are, I've said this 100 times, right? I don't even know why I keep saying it, because I don't need to justify myself. I shouldn't justify myself. They're cool people, man. They're funny. They're great people. They are. Yeah. Some friends of ours in Massachusetts, they live next to a gay couple. Nice people, man.
Yeah.
Got no problem with them. Never, right? My moral convictions are still my moral convictions, right? Yeah. I'm not going over there trying to Bible thump them, dude. That's not my. You know what I mean? Like, it's. I don't have ill will towards them. If I speak to them about the gospel, it's good news. That's what I'm speaking to them about. It's not to destroy them. So here, let me get this straight. So if they accept Christ and they change for their good, right? That's a bad thing? This conversation is ridiculous, but what do I know? Because there's just so many holes in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And California's doing a great job of shooting its own boat.
Yeah.
In the water. They're just like shooting their own death.
It's not going to end here.
Dude, literally, this is death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Precisely.
Literally.
And I want to give hope, right? Because we've talked about
a lot of. I do have hope. That's why I think this is ridiculous.
And that's what I was going to say is like people understand this is ridiculous, and we have the foundation of liberty.
Yeah,
we have the foundation of the Constitution. We have been a people who have been brought up through the generations to believe and understand how important individual rights are. They've got their freaking work cut out for them to try and change the hearts and minds of people who have been brought up through generations of Judeo-Christian values. I'm sorry, it ain't going to be easy for you, right? So I've got hope that this is lying within so many people. It's just dormant because we've gotten soft, we've gotten complacent, we've gotten comfy because we've been so blessed. So the beauty of it is it's still there. There are very few people who really believe that the individual should be done away with and the collective brought up.
Right.
There's very few people.
Right.
There's just a lot of loudmouths that are trying to push this.
It's actually media. You know, I don't even know if there's loudmouths. It's just the media that's promoting this mess.
And that's why I have hope, is that it's just a matter of this stuff waking people up.
I think, too, for the Christian, it's high time you started to believe the God that you've been preaching. Amen. It's high time to start looking at the Hebrews and the Romans. It's high time to start looking at the stories of David and Jehoshaphat and the Moseses and the Joshuas and the Calebs and start believing in that God, the Gideon God, the Elisha God, the Elijah God. You know what I mean? The God of Jonah who had the anointing to change a city. It's time to start believing, because there's no way your physical guns are going to stop this mess. Can't stop an ideology that you're trying to stop because they're trying to stop it physically. You can't stop physical with physical. It's just not going to, because this isn't a physical battle. This is completely spiritual. You want to know how? Because they're attacking spiritual things. Again, in this law, I think we should post it in the description and link. Nowhere does it say synagogue or mosque. Yeah. They're attacking spiritually who we are as a nation. It's time to start crying out to that God in repentance first and saying, Lord, here we are. We didn't know. But here we are like little King Josiah trying to dust off this book of the law the best way we know how, Lord, because, listen, Lord, why does my generation suffer for the sins of those that didn't tell me? Yeah. I don't know. I don't want my sons to suffer. It's time to start calling on that God. That's hope. Here's the hope. God forbid we'd have to trust God for him to move. God forbid. Here we are, guys. This is what excites me about this. Not because I love getting in the fight and we're socking it to them and proving them wrong. I don't care about that stuff. I want to see God save some souls. You know what? What would happen if God miraculously changed this? For the atheists to say there is truly a God. What did the centurion say when Christ died? Truly, this man was the Son of God. Mm-hmm. He may not have converted, but every knee bowed, didn't it? They saw Christ. What would it take for God to move in this nation? Right? For the atheist to see there is no way I can deny God exists. Now's the time to start trusting in your God. Now's the time to start calling out, not just for your worship sets and your sermons, but to move in your cities, to move in your counties, right? To move in the church, to mobilize it, to go out into the streets and really start seeing people healed and saved.
And that's what faith is. Faith is not sitting by and going, I believe in God, and then going about your day. Faith is stepping out when God has called you to step out.
That's right.
And when we think about men of integrity, we think about a society of integrity, a true, strong society. There are people who stand, they won't compromise, and they stand on the faith of God. that God will do what he needs to do, but that they will be vessels that God can work through. Gideon had to stand. Gideon had to go along with God's plan. They actually had to get up on the ridge.
That's right.
With the jars and the
That's
candles, right? Jericho, Joshua had to actually lead the people around the walls of Jericho. You couldn't just sit there on the hill and go, okay, God knocked down the walls.
You almost wonder why it looked ridiculous half the time, like Moses walking up to a river
Think about
Jericho, just so that the atheists would know there is no flipping way that was by their hand.
Exactly.
There is no way that was by their hand. No way.
You had to step out in faith in order to do it. Because if God just said, okay, take this nuclear bomb, go blow this place up, and then you'll be free. That's man. That's so easy to give to man. What if God said, I want you to get in this rowboat. I want you to go out 50 miles, stand up, start praying towards the city.
Dude, what would happen?
I will change all the hearts in one night
Dude,
in that city.
Can you imagine Jonah, bro?
Dude.
Having to tell his story to the people. I just got puked up by a whale I was in for 3 days.
Covered in seed weeds, smelling like...
And I'm supposed to tell you about this God that just sent me here.
God wants your repentance.
Yeah, dude. Like, I wonder if God did that so that we would have no hand in it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Gideon
Noah.
in the 300, Jericho.
Bro,
Noah.
people mocking him, building a big old boat.
120 years building a boat. They've never seen a flood, right? And the idea is that there were no oceans at that point. All water came from underwater sources, right? This guy's talking about a global flood. You ain't never seen flooding before. He's building a boat. For 120 years, he's going, the whole earth is going to fill with water.
120
right,
years.
dude.
By the design of God's providence. By the design of God's providence. Think of the stories with like Paul and them who were persecuted. There's no way Paul could say it was of his hand. Because these guys were on foot in jail, being removed by an angel. Why would he do stuff like that? Because there's no way you can tell me that it was by human hands.
Precisely.
Well, John Wesley preaching to thousands of people in amphitheaters with no microphones, seeing people saved and delivered, right? Can't say that was done by human hands. You can't even deny it. The founders being outnumbered in some wars from 10 to 20 to 1, right? 10 to 1, 20 to 1. You can't say it was by human hands that saved them for this republic. Dude, William Wilberforce and his little clan standing against an entire superpower that was hell-bent on slavery because it was a massive chunk of the economy. And he stood so that he could say that no human hand was involved in this except the divine providence of God. Mm-hmm. God forbid, man. Now's the time. Here's the hope that we would have to shut down ourselves and our wills and our agendas and trust the living God and say, Lord, your agenda is thy kingdom come. Yeah. It ain't here yet. We need it here now. Please.
And it is there in our hearts. Dude. It's lurking in there. Just like I was saying before, it is in us, just like it was in Israel. Why did Israel turn back to God? Because it was in their hearts. They knew God.
Yeah, dude.
They just forgot who he was.
Exactly. You know, I got to say this too, and I don't know why I'm going to say this. I'm just going to say it from my heart. I'm afraid to die. Not for what you may think, but because I fear like, did I accomplish everything you wanted me to, Lord? You know what I mean? Like, let's say it gets to that point where we have to answer with our own lives and stuff, right? What? If it gets to that, I'm afraid of that. I don't want my kids to see that. I'm not afraid of heaven or not going to heaven. I know he saved me. Yeah. I get that part, right? But there's real stuff happening right now, dude. California coming out the way that they are, dude. You have nothing but to cry out to the living God for it. Because, dude, it's happening now. Now they're literally telling you can't preach the gospel. Notice no other sin is mentioned except LGBTQ. Why them? What's the agenda here? What are you getting? What's behind all this? Why just that sect of people? Why? If racism still existed, why don't we have more laws on racism? Churches, synagogues, you can't be racist. We know. Right? It's retarded. Yeah. Now they're going to start oh, dude, you're going to watch this. Once this comes out, you're going to see more black leaders in churches stand up against it.
Yeah. And
I
that's,
thought this was about civil. Wait a minute here.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
and that's the sleeping giant
You
that
wait.
is starting to wake up.
You wait, dude.
It's they've come out against a lot of this
Bro,
stuff,
I'm telling you.
especially when there was, if you notice, this whole push to say that the gay rights movement is the new civil rights movement. You watched the black leadership, especially pastors, come out against that. They said, no. You have no idea. This is not civil rights 2.0. You don't get to say that, right? So the sleeping giant kind of woke up and said, this is totally different. You're not going to try and build off of what we have, especially when black communities tend to be conservative. Black and Latino communities, they tend to be morally conservative.
Yep.
They've always been told follow Democrats, follow liberals
they're for the people.
They're for the people.
So my dad
the
used to tell
white
me.
Republicans aren't for you.
They're for corporations and government and no. Anyways,
so with
hope.
that, hope.
I have hope. A lot of hope actually.
Guys,
Zach's sleeping on the floor.
yeah.
My
Zach's
wife's about
passed
to die,
out.
Yeah. Oh no.
No. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in.
Yep, absolutely.
For listening with us, communicating, commenting. Please feel free to let us know what you think. Give us feedback, good or bad. Remember, you can find us on pretty much all the social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, www.theselfevidenttruth.com. Remember, we've got tours in September. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for letting us be a part of this. Thank you for the fact that you're supporting us and you're getting out there and you're doing something about all of this. And if you've got
letting us be a part of your life.
Yeah. And if you've got questions about how to move to the next step, get a hold of us.
Yeah, we'd love to
know.
We'd love to help encourage you or come to your area and speak some life into that stuff, man. We love seeing God move in those areas, and
absolutely.
There's more coming, man. And keep standing, y'all.
Yeah.
Keep standing. Keep standing. Evil's going to keep bucking up when we keep standing. So like I said, we need to trust God now. So God bless you guys. We will see you next week.
All right. Love you guys.